Sorry about that. Someone came back. My niece when it came home, she took my lighter. Yeah. I will. Even if CFL made a change, how they speaking, the league grew in 10 years. With the players being more famous, yeah, they now be a bit more famous, but they're never going to be the NHL athletes. That's my point. They'll be a bit more famous now and more known, but they're not. I'm saying to the people of Canada, but they're never going to be the NHL athletes. As hockey is Canada's sport. All they talk about up here is hockey. You know how in the States you have like Skip Bayless and Shannon, they always talk about the NFL players and like the NBA players. Well, in Canada you have something like that, except it's all about hockey, man. All about like the star. When McDavid go to the Toronto like Maple Leafs, all that stuff right here. I'm sorry? Our room is a mess. I have to clean it. I have to clean my room. I think CFL will grow. Yeah, it will. I think in a good 10 years, the league should grow to a $300 million a year business now. Right now, they're peaking at about 250 million a year in revenue. So in 10 years, they can grow it by 50 million, 300 plus million in 10 years. So it's having growth. if to get to 500 million, that might take decades, man. Maybe another 30 years. Maybe now it grows to maybe 350 million if they're lucky. But I believe if they really want to get that boost, it's the Canadian product policy. I believe the Canadian product is where you get your substantial growth, like 35 million a year extra in revenue. Then by 10 years, it's now 450, 500 million a year business in the CFL. The star athletes are all getting paid a lot of money, not NFL money, but they're making a lot of money. That's a lot of money, man. I told you guys the figures, right? Yeah. The CFL can raise the cap to 8.5 million. They can make more money. $9 million, they can make more money. So Sarah. I might go get some coffee, guys. Some coffee, yeah. 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 Your jeans, I know. I wasn't bad. I don't blame mine. Yeah. What do you think is the real key with the Canadian product? The quarterbacks. It's all about the quarterbacks. The other positions are key too. They're like the fans will love the receivers and the running backs. That builds buzz soon and linebackers. But what really builds buzz is the quarterbacks. As the NFL, what most of those guys talk about are the quarterbacks. Like, is Tom Brady better than Patrick Mahomes? He is, by the way, and is Patrick Mahomes, will Patrick Mahomes surpass Tom Brady? Like, you know what I'm saying? You see Skip Bayless and Shannon, they talk about that all the time and on YouTube. Yeah, like the quarterbacks is the key, man. And if you talk about all these Canadian franchise quarterbacks in the CFL who got drafted from the CIS and NCAA, like which quarterback's the best in the league? Will this quarterback take their team to the championship? Now that builds buzz, and that's how you grow the league in 10 years. You're a genius, I know. It's all about the quarterbacks. That's my suggestion to you, CFL, if you ever want to make this change. I know you're never going to make this change, but if CFL ever wants to make this change, the key is all about the quarterbacks. You got to really market the quarterbacks. That's the key. Market the other players too, but mainly market the quarterbacks, because they're like the face of the quarterbacks are the face of the team, right? face of the franchise of their own pro team. Yeah, they're the face of the team. The quarterbacks, most popular position in football, right? The quarterbacks, the most popular. The quarterbacks are like the captain, the leader of the team. It's all about the quarterbacks, right? Yeah. Close the door.
Wait. Wait, I want to tell you something.
Okay, tell me outside. Sorry about that. Someone came in my room. Yeah. Excuse the noise. The kids are coming in my room, so. Yeah. Yeah. All right, will the CFL grow with the American talent? Yeah, it will. The CFL is having slow, but they're having minimal growth. They're only making, the CFL might maybe increase in revenue by maybe 10, 15 million a year around there. As the commissioner said, it increased by 18 million in revenue. So it's growth, but it's not like substantial growth. But if the CFL can double in revenue, if the CFL can make a good extra 50 million every year in revenue, in a good 10 years, that's 150 million. So now the team, but if the team maybe increases in revenue by maybe 10 million a season, in 10 years it might be lucky to make 300 million a year. They can raise the cap. That's good. That's why they're never going to make that. Yeah, Ivan. Right now, even though we're having minimal growth, we're still growing. The best way to grow is league is with the American product. They're very talented. Okay, if that's how you want to grow the league, fine. I think it's the Canadian product, but I mean, you want to grow the league mainly with the American product, then be my guest. That's your decision, right? Your business decision, obviously, right? Yeah, even the more talented, you want to grow the league with American talent, Ivan. Yeah, guys who never want to be here are only here by default, and some of them even ditch your CFL for the NFL. You want to grow the league with those guys? They're the best Canadian players in Canada. Yes, Ivan, that's how we grow the league. Okay, well, there you go. Nothing I can say, right? Yeah. That's my answer. Yeah. Yeah. Like when you be a crazy CFL fan who was just Canadian players, oh yeah, I'd be watching like all the games, man. 'Cause I want to see which Canadian quarterback would take his team to the Grey Cup. I'd be tuning into the team websites. I'd be way more hyped about it, especially the quarterbacks, the Canadian quarterbacks. I'll be tuning in, man. Yeah, man. And a lot of university fans will probably be tuning into that too, and that's how you grow the league. Have more buzz. It won't be an overnight success, but in 10 years it can double in revenue to $450 million. a year, I believe, in the CFL, obviously, right? Yeah. So how did you figure it out? Yes, I did. I figured it out. So you know the answer. Yeah, I know there's two possible answers, as I keep saying. Either the fans again just don't care that much about Canadian football. There's not really a big market for it, or there is a little bit of a bigger market for it, but it's not with the American product. It's with the Canadian product. Mainly the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks is the real market value for the Canadian product. That's what builds more buzz. Yeah, this quarterback got drafted by Queen's University. He's now, can this quarterback be a franchise quarterback for the Saskatchewan Roughriders? And all the fans are like, holy shit, man! Like BCI's quarterbacks might be franchise quarterbacks for the Saskatchewan for these pro CFL teams. I'm gonna tune into the games, and that's how you build buzz. Or it won't make a difference. But the key is marketing. You gotta really market the heck out of them. It's all about marketing, right? You have to market them, yeah. Advertise them, market them. That's my suggestion to the CFL. If they ever want to make a change, I know they're not. That's my advice for the CFL, obviously. Sarah? Yeah. Yeah. Charge my phone. Oh, I'll charge it after. It's gonna fall down. Yeah. Ivan, what's the most overlooked position in the CFL? Quarterbacks. The CFL scouts don't really care that much about Canadian quarterbacks. I told you Nathan Rook and Trey Ford and Brandon Bridge were the exception because they were such talented quarterbacks. They were so good they actually got drafted in the league. As Trey Ford, I now know why they drafted him. The guy is a fucking he's like a Brandon Bridge. He's kind of like he's a runner. He can run and he's very athletic. He can throw. He's an amazing quarterback, Trey Ford. First round pick. Brandon Bridge was not a first round pick though. But Nathan Rook was a first round pick, I believe, or a second round pick. Trey Ford was a first round pick in the CFL. Brandon Bridge was like a third round, fourth round pick. The reason why Brandon Bridge was a fourth round pick around there, because he was in the NFL. In the CFL, they do a thing if the Canadian athlete is if NFL teams are interested in the Canadian athlete, sometimes the value of that Canadian player that goes down, they get drafted later on later in the CFL draft. I've really because the CFL is scared. Okay, if the NFL takes one of the best players in the draft, their value now goes down and they get drafted maybe in the fourth round in the CFL. Brandon Bridge was drafted like in the third round or something like that, fourth round in the CFL. I don't remember, obviously. And Trey Ford was drafted. Nathan Rook was also drafted too, like in the second round, because they're rare Canadian talent. They're so good. Nathan Rook is so good. He's arguably the best quarterback in the CFL right now, man. He's Canadian, man. Yeah. Nathan Rook is better than Bernard Adam Jr. He's better than Arbuckle. He has more passing yards than all those guys. What? Yeah. Bo Levi Mitchell is number one, I think, in passing yards, but you can argue Nathan Rook is the best quarterback in the CFL right now, man. And he's Canadian. Yeah, he's amazing. Yeah, he's an amazing quarterback, Nathan Rook. He didn't have a great game last game though. He did okay, but he had like two picks last game. But I mean, the Calgary game he did amazing. His recent game, but yesterday when they played Toronto Argonauts, he did okay. Nathan Rook. He didn't do that good. Though. He did pretty good. He had two picks, obviously. I'm rooting for him to take his team to the Grey Cup. That's what I'm rooting for Nathan Rook right now. Hopefully he takes his team to the Grey Cup. Yeah. Are BC Lions doing good? Yeah, BC Lions are third place in the West. There's 5 teams in the West and 4 teams in the East, I believe. BC Lions are third place in the West. They're doing good. They're like 8-7 right now. So they're doing pretty good. The best team in the West, I believe, is it what? Saskatchewan, I think. Yeah, Saskatchewan's the best team in the West right now. I think second is Winnipeg, and then third is BC. I don't know. I have to check. I don't know. Yeah. 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 I do. A lot of CFL players end up living in Canada. Yes, they do. Because their agents tell them. Their agents tell them, yeah, man, like because you're from America, you get your money will get affected by the rates. I recommend you stay up here and live in Canada. A lot of quite a bit of CFL athletes end up moving up here and they stay in Canada. The ones who like want to play up here, they end up just staying up in Canada because they don't want to be affected by the rates. But most of them still live in the States. They come up here, they play, or they work for 6 months, they get their money, and then they go back to the States. That's how it works, right? Because the States is their home. They're from America. They love America. America is their home. They want to live there. They don't want to live in Canada. Canada's not their home. The States is their home, obviously. Yeah, that's how it works, right? So you're sick of the bias. Oh yeah, I'm so sick of the bias. That's why I exposed the CFL, man. I don't know like 20 plus videos so far about the CFL. I exposed the heck out of you. You were very heated, man. You were so frustrated. Yeah, I was frustrated, man. Because I've been putting up with the bias for years. CFL lost. All you GMs and coaches in the CFL, you know what I'm talking about, man. You lost a lot of amazing Canadian athletes all because of your American bias, man. Yeah, it's sad, man. I look at the Wikipedia and like you see this guy's a first round pick, second round pick. All I see is they had limited reps, they had special team tackles. This receiver had maybe I don't know 12 touchdowns in his career, of a total of maybe 1,200 yards in his career. They bounce to this team. They're on the practice roster. They have a few yards here. This guy has a few special teams tackles. They bounce around to this team. They're on the practice roster. They bounce around to the next team. And you see like 2019 and you never hear from them ever again. 2021, you don't hear from them ever again. That means they retired. Yeah, they all retired. They're all bust first, second, third round picks, man. I'm like, wow, man, that's sad. These are all amazing Canadian players that the CFL lost because of the American bias, man. It's sad, man. So all those, yeah, Anthony Coombs, Shamon Chambers, Stephon Charles, Lyndon Gadosh, I can go on. All those guys are done. They retired. As I look at the Wikipedia, it says like, yeah, the last thing you hear about them is like 2019, 2021. You don't hear anything about them anymore. Yeah, they retired. They can't take the bullshit, man. Yeah, I'm trying my best to be successful over here, but the door is closed on us Canadians. Yeah, the doors is closed on the Canadian players, most of the Canadian players in the CFL to be stars, man. It's all the doors are all open on the American guys in the CFL. That's how it works, right? That's cold, I know. Yeah, Anthony Coombs would have been an Andrew Harris in the CFL, man. He would have been an Andrew Harris, yeah. Let's say you took away the American talent. Even with the American talent, I think Anthony Coombs would have been an amazing running back. Maybe not as good as Andrew Harris, but he would have been almost as good. He would have been an amazing running back in the CFL. They just gave him his opportunity to shine. But because of the bias and the 7 ratio thing, he's at a disadvantage, obviously. And the American talent is at a disadvantage. Shamon Chambers would have been an amazing star receiver. You just gave him his opportunity to shine. Lyndon Gadosh would have been an amazing D-line. Stephon Charles would have been an amazing D-line. But they never got the time to shine, those guys. They're all bust first round picks. I mean, it's sad. I know, sad, man. When did Shamon Chambers retire? I think like 2019. He was drafted in 2012. Shamon Chambers, yeah, 2012 he was drafted. He played until 2019, so for 7 years he played in the CFL, then he called it quits. You go on his Wikipedia, you don't hear anything from him after 2019. Anthony Coombs got drafted in 2014. He played for like 8 years. 2021, he called it quits. Played for like 7 years. Last information you see of him is like 2021. And yeah, he disappeared, he faded away. Yeah, Lyndon Gadosh too, Stephon Charles, they fade away. And they're gone. And I always have that thought, man, these guys would have been star fucking players, man. If the CFL just got rid of the fucking American talent, man, these guys would have been star players in the league. Franchise players, man. Brandon Bridge, too. Yeah, man. Brandon Bridge quit because he couldn't take the American bias. Yeah, I'm doing bad for 5 games and they bench me, and this other guy does bad for 8 games. They have longer windows. My chance of starting again is not high. I'm done. I quit. And that's why Brandon Bridge retired. He retired from football, and now I believe he's a cop. My other stepbrother told me, yeah, they talked about it in the news. Brandon Bridge, there was news about it. Brandon Bridge retired from the CFL to be a cop. Just like my older stepbrother retired from the CFL to be a cop. He's a cop too, my older stepbrother. He's a police officer. Brandon Bridge is a police officer too. He quit football to be a police officer. A lot of ex-football players become cops, by the way, A lot of ex-football players who retire, they want to become cops and everything. Yeah, Brandon Bridge quit to be a cop. He quit, football, man. Yeah, man. I mean, that's sad, man. I know. These guys all would have been franchise players, man, if you just got rid of the American talent. Brad Sinopoli, even though he got to be an amazing receiver, he would have been a franchise quarterback, man, in the CFL. It's sad, man. The CFL missed, they missed on a lot of great Canadian talent, man, because of the American bias. It's sad, man. Really is. Yeah, man. Sad. What about Andrew Lou? Andrew Lou too. Andrew Lou was a bust first round pick. He bounced around teams, played practice roster, had a few special team tackles, and that's it. Something like that, right? And he retired around like 2020, 2021. He never hear from you never hear from him ever again. He fades away too. These are all like first, second round picks, guys, in the CFL, man. All bust picks. Yeah. Ivan, who's the one Canadian guy who was a standout first round pick? Enoch Mwamba actually had a pretty good career. He had like 600 plus tackles. He was a star franchise linebacker for all the teams Enoch Mwamba went to. He was a starting linebacker because he's that good. He's an amazing linebacker. So he was a star player in the CFL. John Cornish, Andrew Harris, those are all stars. Well, Andrew Harris did not get drafted. He was an undrafted, unsigned free agent. Andrew Harris. Andy Fantuz was a first round pick. He had an amazing career in the CFL. He'll be a Hall of Famer. Andy Fantuz should be a Hall of Famer. Andrew Harris will be a CFL Hall of Famer. They're all Hall of Famers, those guys. They had amazing careers up here. And then you have the O linemen. The O linemen, obviously, what? The O linemen, a lot of them get to be stars, but they don't really count because they're non-skill positions. They don't have stats. Right, Sarah? Yeah. They don't really count in terms of stats. That's what I mean, right? They're non-skill positions, the O linemen. That's my point. Yeah. There was another linebacker who played for Laval, Frederick Plessius. Yeah, he played for Laval. He was a star linebacker for Laval. He wasn't as good as like Enoch Mwamba. Enoch Mwamba was better than Frederick Plessius, obviously, as he lost out to Enoch for the awards when Enoch Mwamba won the awards, obviously. But Frederick Plessius was an amazing linebacker too. But he was a second round pick. He bounced around teams too, playing special teams and everything. And he retired like in 2021 too. He quit too, man. He was a bust second round pick too. Enoch Mwamba was like the one linebacker that was not a bust. He was first overall pick back in 2011. He actually was starting for all his teams. He was a star linebacker, Canadian linebacker for all the teams. I think 1 year he led the league in tackles, and he won Outstanding Canadian. And he won Grey Cup MVP a few times too when he won the Grey Cup. Enoch Mwamba has like two Grey Cups in his career. I don't know if he'll make Hall of Fame. He probably should make a Hall of Fame. He had 600 tackles in his career, which is good. Obviously, that's pretty good. Obviously, he had a pretty good career, Enoch Mwamba. But Frederick Plessius had a bust career too, man. He was a bust second round pick. He didn't really get his opportunity to shine. He had limited reps here and there, but he didn't get his opportunity to shine. But if you took away the American talent, he would have been an amazing star linebacker too, man. Because of the American bias, he never got his time to shine, and he retired too. That's sad, man. I know all these guys retired. That's sad. Sad, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. And you GMs and coaches, you know what I'm talking about, man. Because of your stupid American bias, man, you lost out. You lost some great American talent all because of your American bias, man. I'm talking to you, CFL GMs and coaches, you know what I'm saying? You're right, man. Well, these guys they were fucking talented players, man. And you lost all these guys. You lost out on all these amazing Canadian players all because of your American bias. Or just American guys, man. No one in Canada, no offense, cares that much about the American guys, Canadian guys. Alright, they love them. Yeah, they love them, and they're CFL stars. They don't like them. They don't love them the way they love the Canadian guys. They love the Canadian guys more, don't you? Yeah. Sarah? Yeah, man. Sad. Sad. You know, I mean, it's sad. Yeah, it's sad. It's fucking sad. Yeah, man. Yeah. All right, if any other draft picks the CFL lost out on, yeah, they are, but I forget their names. Yeah. Ivan, even your first, second round picks are most of them are busts. Yes, the CFL draft, even the first round picks and second round picks, most of them are bust picks. The only ones who might get an opportunity to have a pretty good career are the receivers and the O linemen. Pretty much, those are like the main positions, Canadian starting positions. The other guys will be lucky to play special teams. They have limited reps. They have a few tackles here and there. They bounce around teams. They're put on the practice roster. They're third string. That's how it works. They all have bust careers. They're all bust picks, man. You know, I mean, that's funny. That's hilarious. I know. And you wonder why CFL, the Canadian, you expect the CFL fans to take your league seriously, CFL? You really expect the Canadian football fans to take your league seriously when what you're doing is cold to these Canadian draft players who you draft? I mean, it's fucking cold, man. Yeah, give them an opportunity to play pro football, but like the American guys are gonna shine. Only start 7, put these guys on special teams, and have them have limited reps. That's good enough for them. Even though they're your own Canadian draft picks. These American guys are not your draft picks, CFL. They're just guys who come up here who didn't get an opportunity, and they get to shine over your own drafted players in Canada. Man, it's ridiculous. And you wonder why you're pissed off that the Canadian football fans only care much about it. Yeah, I think it kind of answers your question, CFL. They want to see the drafted players shine, not the American guys, CFL. Like, duh. Yeah. Ivan, how does the pay structure work for the draft picks? If you're like a first, second round pick, you make a bit more money, and if you're like third round or under, you're most likely to make the minimum $70,000. That's how it works, right? Obviously. So if you're a sixth round, fifth round, the CFL has what 7 rounds now. So if you're a 7, 6, 5th, if you're a 7, 6, 5th, 4th round, third round, you'll probably get the minimum when you start your career. And if you're a second or first round, you can bargain for a bit more. You get a little bit more money, obviously. So that's how it works right now. Like first round picks get spoiled more. First round picks, chances are the CFL will pay them a bit more, and they'll offer them like housing and all that stuff. Housing for their apartment they're staying in. They offer them a housing deal where their apartment is paid for the whole season, and then they get a bit more money. Whereas the other picks don't get that per; they just get their minimum salary, which is now $70,000. But back when my older stepbrother played, it was $51,000 the minimum salary, 10 years ago. But now it increased to $70,000, which is good. Like that's a good paycheck, obviously. The draft picks can pay their bills with that money, right? They can rent out their apartment. They can easy. And most people in the CFL, they rooming with a lot of people in a house or an apartment, so they can easily afford to pay their bills. Obviously, right? The CFL isn't a much healthier position than it was like 20 years ago. Back then, it was like $30,000 the minimum salary. I'm not kidding around, guys. Players had to work part-time jobs to make it by, man. But now, with $7,000, that's enough money for you to pay your bills, pay your apartment rent, and buy your groceries. It's enough money for you for 6 months of football, right? Yeah. Yeah. So Ivan, like the draft picks who get drafted, you only really hear a lot about them like their rookie season. That's when you hear about them, unless they become stars. But if they're not star players, you're going to hear a little bit about them during the games in the first season. Yeah, this guy's a first. You see the credits, you see the tax. Yeah, this athlete is a 6th round pick in the first round. And after 2 years, they kind of like fade away. You don't hear from them for like years, unless they become star players. Then you hear from them. They're now star players. But most of them, they just fade away and they disappear. You barely hear anything about them. I reckon, well, I mean, that's true. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's true, obviously. You know. It's sad, man. I know it's sad. That's why I was so angry. But yeah, the CFL needs to be exposed. And I know the key to fixing the problem is the American talent problem, man. That's the problem, man. You need to give these draft picks CFL their time to shine, especially the franchise quarterbacks, and that's how and market them. That's how you grow your league. I know what I'm doing. It's not with the American product CFL. It's with the Canadian product. This is Canada. They're American guys CFL. They may be very talented. They have a lot of talent, value, and talent. They don't have much market value up here CFL. They're American players playing in different countries. Sarah? Oh, Hams and yeah. Yeah, right. We do give the Canadians the opportunity to football. Yeah, you do see it, but like barely anything gets to be stars. They're all like special teams players. Like special teams players are not star players. CFL. Yeah, even they still get to play pro football. Yeah, they do, but they're special teams players. They're not star players. Like the fans don't really care that much about the special teams players as much as the star players. It's all about the star players. They're the ones who shine, right? And all the players who shine in CFL, all these American star players in the league CFL. Because you're blind by the American talent. Yeah, we're blind by American talent. Yeah, you are CFL. You're blind by the American talent. There you go. Zara? Yeah, man. That's cool, I know. Yeah. Give me a second, I was making more coffee. I'll talk for a good maybe, I don't know, 20 more minutes. I don't know, 11 minutes is good enough for you guys, right? That's good enough for you guys. Or maybe now in 20 minutes when I'm done. We'll get coffee, guys. Back in a sec. Who got on the show? Oh, Hams, then. Excuse the noise of the kids, right? Alright, guys. Want to get my coffee. I also got biscuits. My stepmother made some amazing biscuits, obviously. Biscuits with coffee, it's amazing. I like biscuits with tea, that's really good. Biscuits with tea. Well, today I didn't eat too good, man. I had like 4 slices of pizza, man. Yeah, man. I still did my workout. Tomorrow's my 39th day at the pool place, right? Are there any like late round picks who got to be stars in the CFL? Yeah, but chances are it's an alignment. Yeah, I heard there was one alignment who was drafted like in the last round of the CFL. And now he's a star alignment. So the alignment you have a better chance of being a star. But if it's a skill position, chances are if you're drafted in later rounds, you're gonna get released or put on the practice roster. Unless you really perform at training camp, and you might get more reps. But the later round picks, a lot of them get put on the practice roster or they get cut and released. The later round picks are all bust picks, man. Chances are they'll get put on the practice roster or they get released. I mean, yeah, that's why CFL. I mean, being an asshole. The fans in Canada, they can't take your draft seriously. Like you expect your league to have some sense of growth, and you excite all the football fans, the CFL football fans with your draft, and half those draft picks are all bust picks. They get cut and released, and you wonder why the fans don't really care much about your league. I mean, that kind of answers your question. That's why I believe it's the American talent problem. That's the problem with the CFL. That's the problem. There you go, don't you? So, yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah. I guarantee you, all you American football fans, you guys probably thought that all the star players, yeah, we thought like the majority of the star players would be these Canadian guys. No, no, man, it's the American guys in the CFL. Yeah. all the American guys in the CFL. Who are the stars? That's how it works, right? CFL has 9 teams. There's 43 players per team, right? So 43 times 9. Yeah, CFL has about 300, almost 400 athletes playing in the league. And 7 times 9 is what? Yeah, only 63 Canadians out of the 400 players in the CFL are actually star players. And don't forget, most of them are the O-lineman guys, right? The majority of that 63 is O-lineman. I mean, that's cool. Yeah, out of the 400 people, only 63 star Canadian players in the league. And most of those star players are linemen. Don't forget that, guys, right? Some teams even start 5 linemen. And they'll start maybe 1 Canadian receiver, maybe 1 Canadian D lineman, Canadian free safety, and that's it. And the rest of the players are all the star players. I mean, that's funny, I know. Yeah. Oh, you're such a fucking dick, but what's the true CFL, man? Your draft is CFL draft is a crapshoot, man. Like, hence why the fans don't take it seriously. Obviously. Before I thought like all the drafted players would be star players, and like as over the years I kept watching the draft picks and I would watch all the CFL games. I noticed, all these guys who got drafted, none of them are stars, man. What the fuck's going on here? It's all these American guys. And I studied the league, how you have to start 7 Canadian starters. I studied a little bit, and I knew about the American bias. My older stepbrother told me about the American bias when he played for the Hamilton Ticats. He told me, there's a bias towards the American talent, the American players. He told me that. Yeah, the coaches love the American star players, and like all the draft picks are sitting on the bench. Like even like the first, second round picks are sitting on the bench, and all these American guys get to shine in the CFL. The coaches love them so much. Yeah, it's weird. Why? The reason why we like them a lot, man, because they're very talented, man. They put on a show for our CFL games, Ivan. I'm like, guys, they never want to be here, man. Why are you treating these guys like fucking gods, man? And Ivan is valuable as a Canadian players. They may be a bit more talented in most cases, but not as valuable up here at CFL. They have value in talent, but they don't have much market value up here, and you treat them like gods. And the fans only care about those guys that much compared to the Canadian players. They care about them, obviously, they love them, but not the way they love the Canadian guys. Guys, I'm saying, okay, I'm saying, yeah. I'm sorry? Yeah. Yeah. So, Ivan, what positions do you want to see, like, the Canadian athlete really shine at? Quarterback, man. Yes, there is Nathan Rourke, but it'd be nice for them to be 9 franchise Canadian quarterbacks and see those guys shine and kill the league up here, and they get to be legends, man. It'd be nice for them to be a lot of Canadian quarterback legends in the CFL, but it's not going to happen. Nathan Rourke might be a CFL legend if he can play well for the next 10 30. He's young. He's only like 28 years old right now. If he can play well for the good next like 12 years and be a star quarterback, he'll be a legend. Nathan Rourke will be the next quarterback legend after Russ Jackson in the CFL. That's my hope. But he has to play well for every season, because if he performs bad, I told you the Canadian players have shorter windows than the American players, right? All Nathan Rook has to do is just have a great season for his team, and he can be an amazing CFL legend up here in Canada, right? Nathan Rook. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I will watch the CFL playoffs this year. Yes, I will. The CFL playoff game. When Nathan Rook's BC Lions play the playoff game, I'm gonna watch that game. The whole game, I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna watch that game. I'm rooting for Nathan Rook to win the Grey Cup, man. I would love Nathan Rook is the hope. It'd be nice for Nathan Rook to win a Grey Cup for the BC Lions. Yeah, that'd be nice, man. Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah. So you believe the Canadian? I believe the Canadian players, if you market them, the franchise value for the CFL teams will go up now because there's a bigger market for the Canadian athletes because they're Canadians playing in Canada. A lot of the fans are familiar with them. They know they played at his university. You know what I'm saying? They know they got drafted, or they can relate them because they're Canadian. There's a higher value market value for the Canadian players than the American players. The American players, the fans don't know anything about these guys. Are from a different country. That's what I'm saying. They're from a different country. That's my point. Yeah, they're from a different country. Don't you? I'm saying, yeah, they're from a different country. Look, Seafly, I know you think I'm crazy, man, but if in the next 10 years you're getting very, very minimal growth, then obviously something is not right with your league. Either the fans of Canada just don't care about Canadian football that much, or there's a bit of a bigger market for it. But it's not with your star American players; it's with your star franchise Canadian players. When I mean Canadian product, I mean like all your star players are Canadian, and all your star franchise quarterbacks are Canadian quarterbacks, and that's how you build a buzz. If you have Milt Siegel, Enoch Wama talk about these franchise quarterbacks, that will build buzz. And a lot of people in Canada at the universities who know these guys will tune into that, man. That's how you grow in 10 years. Or it might not make a difference. That's my other answer. So, Sarah, it might not make a difference. That's my other answer. So, Sarah, I'm your genius. I know. Genius. So, Sarah. But I could be wrong, man. Maybe the best way of growing the CFL is with the American talent because they put on a show. I disagree. I think it's the Canadian talent, but I mean, the CFL has been doing this for decades, and they've had minimal growth for decades. So obviously, they're not getting substantial growth. So obviously, something is not right. Obviously, and that's how you know quality is not the issue. The CFL's issue for their game of viewership is not about the quality because the CFL is almost as good as the CFL is almost as good as the NFL when I watch it. Right, I only see about maybe a 12% drop in quality from the CFL to the NFL around there. NFL's 100, CFL's like maybe an 88%. I see a bit of a drop in quality when I watch the NFL and the CFL, but it's high quality football. Yet the fans in Canada still don't care that much. So quality CFL is not the problem. There has to be another reason why the fans in Canada don't really care about your games. Either they just don't really care about CFL Canadian football, or they don't really care that much about your American star players. They don't resonate with those guys as much. They want to see a Canadian franchise quarterback shine up here. Yeah, wow, we got Nathan Rowe. Yeah, you have Nathan Rowe, but he's only one quarterback, and the rest are all these American players. So even if talking about Nathan Rowe builds a bit of buzz, the spotlight's still kind of taken away from me because like all the other AQBs are all these American quarterbacks. And the fans know if Nathan Rook performs bad, let's say next season, they could pull him out after maybe 5 games because quarterbacks have a shorter window. Canadian quarterbacks have a shorter window because they know the fans they know the league has an American bias. Obviously, that's why Nathan Rook must be under a lot of pressure. Obviously, yeah, if I perform bad for maybe 5 games next year, man, I'm scared they're gonna pull me in, and yeah, because the Canadians have shorter windows than the American guys. That's why it's not fair, obviously, right? If you really want to build buzz, you got to have like all your 9-star quarterbacks be Canadian homegrown talent. That's when you build buzz, and all your star running backs are these amazing Canadian running backs. You know what I'm saying? That's how you build buzz, so Sarah. Zara? Almost there, guys. I'll talk for another 7 minutes. I'm done. We making another video tonight, Ivan? No. This is good enough. Right now, it's coming to what? I don't know. It's like 6:30 right now. I still have like 30 minutes left of my other video to watch. So. Yeah, man. Yeah. So Nathan Rook's under a lot of pressure. Of course he is. He knows if next year. Right now he's doing very good, but next year, God forbid, if he has a losing season, he's scared the coaches might pull him. That's why like he's under. The Canadians have more stress because the coaches have a bias towards American players. They perform bad, they bench them, and when they get benched, chances are they're not going to get another opportunity ever again. As Trey Ford kind of lost his opportunity to start again because he was an amazing quarterback, but he just wasn't able to win games for his team, right? But just because Trey Ford wasn't able to win games for his team, it doesn't necessarily mean he's a bad quarterback. Maybe the GM didn't do his job. Signing good players. Obviously, as there's a lot of good players in very very bad teams. Obviously, I believe Trey Ford is an amazing quarterback. If you just give him time to grow, he can be a Grey Cup winning quarterback. But because he wasn't able to win games, they benched him and they started this American guy. And the American quarterback is also doing horrible too. He's not able to win games for Edmonton. Edmonton are last place in the West right now. They're horrible, the Edmonton Eskimos. They're a horrible team, yeah. Yeah. I believe the Edmonton Eskimos are out of the playoffs, I believe. There's like 3 games left in the CFL season, I believe. Yeah, 3 games left in the CFL season. The Edmonton Eskimos, I think, are out of the playoffs this year. They're out. Or they might have to win all the rest of their games to have a shot at being in the playoffs. But I believe they're out of the playoffs. The Nationals are horrible team. Yeah, I don't even say yeah. Yeah. All right, who do you think will go to the Grey Cup this year? For the East, Hamilton Tigers are first place in the East. It might be Saskatchewan and Hamilton, or maybe BC. BC and how? Somebody tells me BC might win the West this year. I hope they do. I want Nathan Rourke to win the Grey Cup this year. I'm rooting for him to win because he's Canadian. Had Trey Ford played, I would have rooted for Edmonton and BC, but because Trey Ford's benched and Edmonton are pretty much out of the playoffs, pretty much. I hate him saying I'm rooting for Nathan Rourke to take his team to the Grey Cup. That's my hope. It'd be nice for a Canadian quarterback to win the Grey Cup, man. That's never happened in history except for Russ Jackson. No Canadian quarterback ever took their team to the Grey Cup except for Russ Jackson back in the 60s, right? When he played, right, in the CFL, yeah. That's why Russ Jackson's a legend, man. I respect him a lot, man. I respect him even more than acting out with Matt Dunning and all those guys. And Ricky Ray, yeah, because he's Canadian and he's homegrown talent. I hate him, yeah. Sarah? Amen. Yeah. So if you see a commissioner, yeah, if I was CFL commissioner and I was an average person, I'd not have the keys. Because I have the keys, obviously. Let's say I do not have the keys. I'll tell the CFL commissioner, yeah, I believe I can grow this business to a $400+ million, $400 to $500 million a year business in 10 to 12 years. You laugh me off as crazy. No, I'm not hanging around. I think this is the key to fixing your problem. Ivan, what's the problem in our league? There's two problems. Either people in Canada don't care that much about your games. They don't care much about Canadian football. Or there is a bigger market for it, but it's not with your American product CFL committee. It's with the Canadian product. Mainly the quarterbacks. The franchise quarterbacks are like the real key to really building this thing. That's how you build buzz for all the university students who know some of these guys, and the CFL fans who love football will now take their drafts more seriously because they know some of these QBs are going to be star franchise players. That builds buzz. And guarantee, guys, your stadiums will be sold out for every game. You're not going to have any lower game attendance all year. Yeah, because for the CFL teams to make their profit, they have to sell out like every game. And a lot of the fans have to buy the food concessions and the merch, and that's how they make profit. But Saskatchewan, they have like 40,000 fans, 35,000 fans in their stadium. They sell out every game. Winnipeg Umar sell out every game too. Whereas the other teams, they sell out, but not all the games they sell. Sometimes only 3/4 of it is full. You know what I'm saying? That's why some teams they break even. They don't make any money in the CFL. Jackson Sarah? I was just saying, yeah. Sarah? What do you think is the CFL's peak? 500 to 600 million is the CFL's peak. I don't think it can get any higher than that because the market for Canadian football is just not that big in Canada. CFL will never be a $1 million business. No, the market's just not big enough for it in Canada for it to be that big. But it could be a $500 million, $450 million a year business. Obviously, that's possible. That's doable. 550 million is probably its peak around in the CFL. That's probably what it can peak at. Max, obviously. They'll never be on the same level as the NHL. They'll never be the NFL, not even close. There just isn't that big of a demand for football in Canada compared to the States, but it could grow to a $5 million business. That's what I believe, obviously. some center. Yeah, man. Obviously, so I hope Nathan Rourke can take it. Seems like a great guy. That'd be fucking cool, honestly. Yeah. Anyways, guys, here's what I hope you guys enjoy my zoo. I talked for an hour and like 21 minutes. That's good enough. Hope you guys enjoy this show. Peace out, guys. Hope you guys enjoy my CFL show video. Peace, guys. Don't hate him, son.